My 17-year-old nephew is obsessed with me. My sister said, it's just a crush. Now he's stalking me and she's blaming my clothes. So Reddit, F32, need some advice. I'm in a situation that's gone from uncomfortable to downright scary, and I don't know what to do. It involves my nephew, Declan, M17, and my sister, Allison, F40. For context, Allison and I have never been super close. We're sisters, yeah, but we're different. She's always been, critical, like nothing I do is ever quite good enough. It's been that way since we were kids. She's got this way of making me feel like I'm always messing up even when I'm not. Declan's her only kid. He's always been a bit intense. He's the artistic type, I guess. Keeps to himself, draws a lot, writes poetry. I've always tried to be nice to him, be the cool aunt. But he's always been kind of distant, which is fine. Teenagers, right? I live alone. Broke up with my boyfriend, Adrian, about 6 months ago. It was a long-term thing, and it hurt, but I'm moving on. I mention this because it's relevant later. Anyway, a few months ago, Declan started getting really interested in me. It started small. He'd message me on Facebook all the time, commenting on everything I posted, liking all my pictures, even old ones. I thought it was a bit much, but I figured he was just being friendly, A teenage crush, maybe. But then it escalated. He started showing up at places I went. Like, I'd be at the gym and he'd be there, just watching. He'd say it was a coincidence. Oh, hey, Aunt OP's name, fancy seeing you here. But it happened too often. The coffee shop I go to, the grocery store, even the park where I walk my dog. Then the gifts started. Drawings of me. At first they were kind of flattering, I guess. But they got more detailed, like really detailed. Uncomfortably so. And he started writing me poems, long ones, about my eyes, my hair, my smile. It was creepy. He even gave me a scarf once, one I'd left at Allison's house a few weeks before. Said he found it. I tried to set boundaries. I told him, Declan, I appreciate the attention, but it's a bit much. You need to tone it down. He just looked at me all confused, like he didn't understand what I was saying. He got mad when I wouldn't reply his questions on my dating life. So I talked to Allison. Figured she'd talk to him, set him straight. Big mistake. She just laughed, said, oh, OP's name, you're overreacting. It's just a crush. He's a teenager. It's harmless. Then she said, and this is the part that really gets to me, she said, maybe you're leading him on without realizing it. The way you dress, the way you talk to him. You're just being too friendly. Too friendly? I'm his aunt. I'm being nice. And my clothes? I'm not exactly walking around in a bikini. I wear jeans, t-shirts, sweaters, normal stuff. But she made it sound like I was the problem, like I was asking for it. And it's gotten worse. Way worse. He started showing up outside my apartment. I see him across the street, just standing there, watching my windows. I found notes on my car, creepy notes. Stuff like, I see you, and you're always in my thoughts. I'm scared, Reddit. I'm genuinely scared. I don't feel safe in my own home. I jump at every noise. I keep the curtains closed all the time. I'm having trouble sleeping. I don't know what to do. My sister is no help. She just keeps saying I'm overreacting, that I'm being dramatic, that I should be flattered by Declan's attention. Am I overreacting? What should I do? I'm scared, and my sister isn't helping. I just want this feeling to stop. Update 1. Thanks for all the advice and support, everyone. It's a lot. I'm still at my aunt's house. Haven't been back to my apartment except to grab a few things, and I made sure I wasn't alone when I did. A lot of you said, I don't know how they found me. I've blocked everyone I can think of. But the message, it said, you think you're safe? You have no idea what's coming. And there was a picture attached. A picture of me, inside my apartment, taken through the window. I was sitting on my couch, reading a book. I had no idea anyone was watching me. I'm freaking out, Reddit. I don't know what to do. I showed the picture to the police and they're taking it seriously. They're increasing patrols around my aunt's place and they're trying to trace the message. I feel like I'm losing my mind. I'm scared. I'm angry and I'm so tired. I just want this to be over. Update 2. I haven't slept. Not really. Every time I close my eyes, I see that photo. Me in my own apartment, unaware that someone was watching me. It's a violation. I don't even have words for it. The police are investigating. They're taking it seriously, which is a relief. They suggested a restraining order against Declan and I'm going to do it. I have to. My parents, they're finally starting to understand. Kind of. They called me after Allison told them what was going on. At first, they were trying to be neutral, We love you both. We just want everyone to be okay, that kind of thing. But I told them about the photo. I told them about the voicemails. I told them about Allison letting Declan into my building. Wait, I didn't mention that yet, did I? Okay, so here's another twist. I got those security cameras installed, right? The ones a lot of you suggested. And I've been reviewing the footage. Just watching it over and over, trying to make sense of everything. And I saw her, Allison, letting Declan into my building. It was a few weeks ago, before I even knew things were this bad. She had a key, a spare key I'd given her for emergencies, and she just let him in. She smiled at him, patted him on the shoulder, and walked away. I confronted her. I called her, screaming, demanding to know why she'd done it. She denied it at first, said I was seeing things, that I was making it up. But I had the video. I sent it to her, and she broke down. She said she was just trying to help Declan talk to me, that he was so upset, and she thought if he could just explain his feelings, I'd understand. Explain his feelings? By sneaking into my apartment building? By stalking me? By taking photos of me inside my own home? My parents, they heard all of this. I put the call on speakerphone, and they finally started to see what was really going on. They're still trying to defend Allison a little, saying she didn't mean any harm, that she was just trying to help her son. But they're not dismissing me anymore. They're not calling me dramatic or overreacting. And Declan, he had a breakdown, a complete screaming, crying breakdown. After Allison confessed, after I confronted him with the video, he just lost it. He admitted everything. The stalking, the messages, the photo, everything. He said he couldn't help himself, that he was obsessed with me, that he loved me, but then he said something else, something that I don't know what to make of it. He said he did it all to protect me from Adrian, my ex. He said Adrian was dangerous, that he'd heard things, that he was worried about me. I don't know what to think. Adrian and I broke up because it wasn't working. We drifted apart. There was no big drama, no big fight. He wasn't abusive, he wasn't violent, he was just distant. But Declan, he was so insistent, so sure. He kept saying, he's not who you think he is. He's going to hurt you. The police were called. Again, they took Declan away. I don't know what's going to happen to him. I don't know what's going to happen to any of us. Allison is screaming at me, blaming me for everything, saying I destroyed her family, that I turned her son into a monster. I'm just numb. I'm exhausted. I'm betrayed. By my sister, by my nephew, I don't even know. I'm safe for now. I'm at my aunt's. The police are involved. Declan's in custody. But it's not over. It's far from over. Update 3. So, yeah, things have been rough. That's putting it mildly. I've been holed up at my aunt's, basically living in a state of constant anxiety. Every creak of the house, every car that slows down outside, it all sets me off. I haven't been sleeping, haven't been eating much, just existing. The police have been great, I have to say. They're taking the restraining order seriously, and they've been checking in on me regularly. Declan's in custody, awaiting a hearing. I don't know what's going to happen to him legally. Part of me feels sorry for him. He's messed up, clearly, but he's also just a kid, a messed up kid. But then I remember that photo, me in my own apartment, unaware, and the pity, it kind of evaporates. I met with a lawyer, a woman, recommended by a friend. She was tough, no nonsense. We talked about the restraining order, about potential charges against Declan, and about Allison. Because, let's be clear, Allison's not innocent in any of this. She enabled him. She encouraged him. She let him into my building. The lawyer said we could potentially pursue charges against Allison, contributing to the delinquency of a minor, maybe, accessory to stalking. It's complicated. And honestly, I don't know if I have the energy for another legal battle, but I'm keeping my options open. My parents, they're a mess. They called me after Allison told them about the arrest, about the video, about everything. They were trying to understand, trying to be supportive, but they're also still defending Allison, in a way. They keep saying she didn't mean any harm. They keep saying she was just trying to help her son. Help him what? I ask them. Help him stalk me? Help him terrorize me? Help him break into my apartment? They didn't have an answer for that. We had this long, awkward conversation. A lot of tears, a lot of accusations, a lot of just pain. They finally admitted that Allison had issues, that she'd always been difficult, that she'd always had a blind spot when it came to Declan, but it felt like too little, too late. Years of dismissing my feelings, of siding with Allison, of making me feel like I was the problem. It's not something you can just erase with a few apologies. And then there's Adrian. Declan's words during his breakdown, they keep echoing in my head. He's dangerous. He's not who you think he is. I keep telling myself it's just Declan's delusion, just his obsession talking. But a little seed of doubt has been planted, and it's starting to grow. I started thinking back to our relationship, to things I'd brushed off at the time. Little things, his possessiveness maybe. He always wanted to know where I was, who I was with. I thought it was sweet at first, caring. But now, I don't know. He was always so charming, so good at saying the right thing. But there were times when he'd get this look in his eyes, a coldness. I don't know how to describe it. It was like he was looking through me, not at me. And he was always so secretive about his past. He'd talk about his family, his childhood, but it was always vague, like he was leaving things out. I don't know. Maybe I'm just being paranoid. Maybe Declan's words are getting to me, but I can't shake this feeling that there's something I don't know, something I need to know. I did not tell anyone about the pregnancy. I do not want to get an abortion. I want the child, even if it is Adrian's. I'll get to figuring this out. For now, I will end it like this. Update 4. Okay, Reddit. I did something I probably shouldn't have done, but I couldn't help myself. I started digging into Adrian's past. I know, it's probably a bad idea, but Declan's words, they stuck with me. And the more I thought about it, the more I realized there were things about Adrian that didn't quite add up. So I started with Google. Basic stuff. His name, his old addresses, his previous employers. Nothing much came up. He's always been good at keeping a low profile online. But then I remembered something he'd mentioned once in passing. He'd said he had a falling out with a former business partner years ago. He'd never gone into details, but I remembered the name of the business, a small tech startup. I found the company's website. It was defunct and looked like it hadn't been updated in years. But I found a contact email address, and I sent an email. I didn't say much, just that I was researching Adrian's background and was wondering if I could speak to someone who'd worked with him. I didn't expect a reply, but I got one from the former business partner, a guy named Andrew. He agreed to talk to me. We met at a coffee shop halfway between where he lived and where my aunt's place is. And he told me things that, well, they changed everything. He said Adrian was a liar, a manipulator. He used the word sociopath. He said Adrian had embezzled money from the company, had threatened him and his family, had made his life a living hell. He said Adrian was obsessed with control, with power, that he'd do anything to get what he said he was lucky to get away from, that he'd had to change his name, move to a different state, start over. He showed me documents, email, bank statement, police reports, evidence of his crimes. It was overwhelming. It was like looking at a completely different person, not the Adrian I thought I knew. And then he told me about the women. He said Adrian had a pattern. He'd charm them, sweep them off their feet, make them feel like they were the only person in the world. And then he'd start to control them, isolate them from their friends and family, drain their bank accounts. He said Adrian had been engaged twice before me, and both times the women had broken it. One of them had even gotten a restraining order. I felt sick, physically sick. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely hold my coffee cup. And then I remembered something else. Something Allison had said during that awful phone call. She'd said, "You're just jealous. You always have been." Jealous? Of what? Of Adrian? And then it hit me. A new horrifying possibility. What if Allison and Adrian were involved? What if they'd been working together all along? It sounds crazy, I know, but it fits. Allison's constant criticism of me, her dismissiveness of Declan's behavior, her insistence that I was overreacting, her letting Declan into my building, and Adrian, his charm, his manipulation, his lies, his history of controlling women. Could they have been planning this? All of it. The relationship, the engagement, the prank, everything? Was it all a setup? To what? To get my money? To control me? I don't even know. I called my parents. I told them what I'd learned. About Adrian, about Allison. They didn't believe me. At first, they said I was being paranoid, that I was letting Declan's words get to me. But I sent them the documents, the emails, the police reports, everything Andrew had given me, and they finally listened. They're devastated. They're heartbroken. They're finally seeing Allison for who she really is, and they're starting to understand the danger I was in. But it's not over. It's far from over, because now I have to confront them. Adrian and Allison. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know what I'm going to say, but I have to do something. I'm not going to be a victim anymore. I'm not going to let them get away with this. Update 5. Okay, deep breaths. I'm trying to stay calm, trying to think straight, but it's hard. I decided to confront them. Adrian and Allison, together. I knew it was risky. I knew it could be dangerous, but I couldn't. I couldn't just let it go. I needed answers. I don't know what I needed. Justice, revenge, closure, maybe all of the above. I arranged to meet them at a neutral location, a public park. I told my parents where I was going, and I told them to call the police if they didn't hear from me in an hour. I know, it sounds dramatic, but I wasn't taking any chances. I got there early. I sat on a bench watching people walk by, trying to calm my racing heart. And then they arrived. Adrian and Allison, walking side by side, holding hands. It was like a punch to the gut, seeing them together like that. openly, shamelessly. They sat down across from me. Adrian had that smug look on his face, the one I'd seen so many times before but never really understood. Allison looked defiant, angry. I didn't waste any time. I got straight to the point. I know, I said. My voice was shaking, but I forced myself to keep going. I know about everything, about Adrian's past, about the embezzlement, the restraining orders, the lies. And I know about you two. I know you've been involved. Adrian laughed. A cold, cruel laugh. You're crazy, he said. You're making things up. You're just jealous because you couldn't handle a real man. Allison chimed in. You always were jealous of me, she said. You always wanted what I had. I pulled out the documents, the ones Andrew had given me. I spread them out on the bench between us. This is real, I said. This is who you are, Adrian. A liar, a thief, a manipulator. And you, I said, turning to Allison, you're just as bad. You knew what he was, and you still helped him. Adrian's smugness started to fade. He looked nervous, scared even. Allison just glared at me. You're pathetic, she said. You're ruining everything. You're ruining our lives. Our lives? I said. What about my life? What about what you did to me? The stalking, the harassment, the violation. And then Adrian did something I didn't expect. He broke down. He started crying, begging me to forgive him, saying he was sorry, that he'd made mistakes. He said he'd been under pressure, that he'd lost his way, that he never meant to hurt me. It was pathetic, disgusting. Allison, though, she didn't break. She just sat there, silent, staring at me with pure hatred. And then she said something that chilled me to the bone. It wasn't supposed to go this far, she said. Her voice was low, almost a whisper. It was just supposed to be a prank, a way to scare you, to make you more compliant. Compliant? I said. What are you talking about? And then she told me. She told me the whole twisted story. It turns out it was all about the money, my money. Adrian had found out somehow about my inheritance, the money my grandparents had left me, the money my parents had borrowed to pay for my sister's expenses. He'd seen it as his ticket to a better life, a way to pay off his debts, to start over. And Allison, she'd helped him, and she'd helped. She'd seen it as a way to finally get back at me for being the smart one, the successful one, the one who had it all. They'd planned it all out. The relationship, the engagement, the prank. It was all designed to break me, to make me dependent on Adrian, to make me so scared, so vulnerable, that I'd do anything he said, including handing over my inheritance. And Declan, he was just a pawn, a messed up, obsessed kid who they'd used to get to me. It was monstrous. It was evil. I stood up. I couldn't look at them anymore. I felt sick, disgusted. I'm done, I said. I'm done with both of you. I walked away. I didn't look back. I called the police. I told them everything about Adrian's past, about Allison's involvement, about their plan. They're investigating. Again. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if they'll be arrested, if they'll face charges, but I know this. I'm done. I'm done with them. I'm done with my family. I'm going to move, far away, start over. Update 6. It's been a while, months maybe? I've lost track of time. I've been hiding, mostly, staying with my aunt, trying to process everything. It's been hard, really hard. The police investigation, it's still ongoing. They've interviewed Adrian, Allison, Declan. They've gathered evidence. They're talking about charges, conspiracy, fraud, stalking, harassment. The list goes on. My parents, they're broken. They finally see Allison for who she is, and they're ashamed. Ashamed of her, ashamed of themselves. They've apologized to me repeatedly that they're going to try to be better. I don't know if I can forgive them. Not yet. Maybe someday, but not now. Declan, he's in a juvenile detention facility. He's getting therapy. He's starting to understand the damage he's done. He sent me a letter, a long, rambling letter, full of apologies, full of regret. He says he's sorry, that he was manipulated by Allison, by Adrian, that he didn't know what he was doing. I don't know if I believe him. I don't know if I can believe him, but I hope he gets the help he needs. Adrian, he's gone. He disappeared. After that day in the park, after I confronted him, he just vanished. The police are looking for him, but they haven't found him. And Allison, she's still denying everything, still blaming me, still saying it was all a joke. And me? I'm surviving. That's the best I can say. I'm still scared, still anxious, still broken. I'm learning to live again. That's all for this story. I'll be back with another one. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing to the channel. It motivates me to create more content like this.